Hello, welcome to the 3D market commentary. My name is Becky. My email address is here. It's becky@tradictive.com. There's also support@tradictive.com that you can use to get hold of us if you have any questions or anything like that. I'm just going to cover the disclaimers. There they are, top left hand corner. So you guys obviously read those, not just for legal reasons, but also to understand that these kind of videos are demonstrations of how we use our products and things like that. So a 3D market commentary, we send out an email every day to those of you that have free memberships with us. With that free membership, you get all kinds of things. You get recordings of the sessions that we do, reminders for the sessions that we do, the odd discounts and things like that. And importantly for this is every day you'll get an email which has information on 5 major world markets, and we look at 3 separate elements. That's why we call it a 3D market commentary. So we'll take a look at that in a sec. Just before we do that, I'll just show you how you can get a free Trade with UFOs membership. So if you go to tradewithufos.com/Becky, which is up here, if you go to that link, you can get yourself a free Trade with UFOs membership at the top there, and then you'll get this email as well every day. Now also from this link, you'll be able to come down and ask questions here in a public space, which is great because it means other people can see the questions, and when I answer them, other people can see the answers. So it means everybody learns from the same space. So if you are comfortable to post questions there, by all means, please do that. Okay, so 3D market commentary, let's bring it up. So there we go, we have our news flash, that's the email that we send out, and obviously correlated to market data, which we'll take a look at in a sec as well. So like I said, it's a 3D approach because we look at 3 separate elements. So the first thing we look at is market climate, meaning where do we have upcoming market direction probability? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down, statistically speaking? Or is it maybe going to go nowhere? And therefore we figure out, are we going to buy, are we going to sell, or are we going to do nothing? Change time frame, change market, look at something else. Now we use an app. Everything we do is using technology to help us be as objective on this as possible. So we're using an app which shows us in the series of dots, ignore the lines, where we have probabilities. If it's a thick red dot, that tells us probability is downwards to the downside. If it's a thick blue dot, that tells us probability is to the upside. If we have a thin dot of either colour, like these ones, then that tells us not enough probability either way, do nothing. So we're using technology to help us answer that question. Now AutoClimate is a free app on most platforms you can use it on. So check that out if you want to use it. Then we have buy and sell UFOs, unfilled orders. This helps us figure out exactly where to buy and sell. Now why is that important? Because we want to know where the buyers are. Because if price is going to go up, it's going to go up because there's more buyers than sellers. That's the only reason price can go up. So to know where big stacks of buyers are gives us more probability that price goes up from there. So we would expect that if price were to hit the stack of buy orders, it would go up from there. And again, we have the prices on the right hand side telling us between which areas we have these buy orders. We then have sell orders, these red UFOs here. These sell orders show us where we have sellers waiting, so that if price were to come up and hit it, likely go down from there. And again, prices on the right hand side to help us figure that out. So we're using that app to help figure out exactly where to buy and sell based on big stacks of buyers and sellers that are likely to change price direction when price hits it. Then we want to look at market volatility, which is basically how quickly do we expect these markets to move. So we'll look at each of those elements per market. We're looking at 5 markets. We're looking at daily charts for each of them. So different things happen on different time frames, but we'll be looking at a daily chart here. Starting with the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US stocks, and we're looking at the ES, which is the futures contract for it. For those of you that don't know what futures are, essentially we are looking at a representation here of the US stock market. Okay, so let's have a quick look here. We have an unconfirmed climate. See, it says confirmed no. Also a little bit hard to see, but that is a thin red dot. Doesn't matter the colour. What matters is that it's thin. Also, climate tells us with thin dots, not enough probability either way. So we wouldn't expect the market to go up or down. Not enough probability either way. We don't know what's going to happen. So we keep away from it. Now, in terms of buy orders, we have buy orders here at 44.40.50 to 43.47.75. If price were to come down and hit these, we would expect price to go up from there. But obviously at the moment, we're a little bit far away, unlikely to hit it today. Now I say that based on this information, market volatility. In 1 year, we would expect the S&P, so the US stock market, to go up and down by 17.69%. That tells us that in 1 day would be a movement up or down of 50.15 points. That brings us down to slightly close to this, but not quite. In a week, we would expect movement up or down of 110.4 points, and in a month, 229.83 points. So that's what we would expect on the S&P. Now moving on to the next market, which is crude oil. In the meantime, it says there about educating yourself. So there are multiple courses that we offer in stocks, forex, futures, trading plans, backtesting, psychology. So by all means, check those out if any of those are of interest to you. Now, most of them come with a 3-month complimentary access to the apps. So AutoUFOs is a paid for app. You can subscribe to it directly. You don't have to do a course to get it. Most of the time, depending on which platform you use and which courses you do, but most of the time, doing a course and getting 3 months complimentary access to the apps is actually cheaper than if you just got the apps. So check that out again if that's of interest to you. So with crude oil, we have a confirmed downwards climate, so a thick red dot there, probability to the downside. Now saying that, we've seen a little bit of indecision recently, so I wouldn't be surprised if this changes its mind tomorrow or on Monday, but we'll see. Now usually this market goes down for 7 candles. I've just rounded that up, and we're on candle number 1. So based on what usually happens, we would expect to see oil to continue to move down, but like I said, we've seen a lot of indecision recently. Prices sort of, bouncing around, not quite sure what it's doing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it become unconfirmed again by tomorrow or by Monday. So with buy and sell UFOs, we have sell orders up here at 74.23 to 72.93. Buy orders here at 60.77 to 58.73. These have already worked. Price came in a little while back and went up from there. That's why we want to know where they are so that we could have bought there too. That's why we use this app to help us out with that. So with oil, I would overall say indecision on oil. I wouldn't be surprised to see it sort of, bounce around a little bit, but we'll see. In terms of volatility, in a year, we would expect oil to go up and down by 33.87%, which is 1.48 points up or down in a day. In a week is 3.25 points up or down, and in 1 month is 6.77 points up or down. So that's crude oil. Okay, next market is gold. So let's take a look at that. Now in the meantime, as I load it, it says down here about coaching and support. We offer a bunch of coaching and support for free. You can join us on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and all kinds of places. We also have a closed coaching community where it's a small monthly fee to have access to more of our time in a closed environment. But otherwise, you've also got obviously the free stuff that you can use as well. So with gold, we have a confirmed downwards climate, a thick red dot, probability downwards. Usually gold would go down for 7 candles. I'm rounding that up, and we're on candle number 3. So we have room for it to continue to move to the downside based on what usually happens. We also have sell orders just above us at 1866 to 1804.4. Now they've already worked. Price came in, were pushed down. Came in, was pushed down. So they're doing what we expect them to do. So if it continues down, of course, based on the climate and the UFOs, we have probability down. Then we have buy orders down here at 1759.6 to 1742.6. So if price were to hit this stack of buy orders, we'd expect them to go up, but we've got a little bit of room to get there and move to the downside. Now with volatility, we expect movement up or down in a year of 15.1%, which is 17.11 points up or down in a day. In a week, it's 37.66 points up or down in a day, in a week, and in a month would be 78.39 points up or down. So that's gold. Now moving on to the next market, which is the US dollar. Now the US dollar is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide every single day, so be aware of it whether you trade it or not. Now with the dollar, we have a bit of an interesting situation because we have a downwards climate, so a thick red dot, probability to the downside. Usually this market would go down for 6 candles, rounding that up. We're on candle number 1. So that tells us we still have room for it to go down based on what usually happens. But we also have buy orders right beneath us at 92.31 to 91.8. we have sell orders a little way above us at 93.75 to 93.455. So basically what we have is buying pressure underneath us and selling pressure above us. We have sellers coming from the climate and we have buyers coming from the UFO. So we've got buying and selling going on pretty much at the same price. Whoever has the most orders will win. If there are more buyers than sellers, price will go up. If there are more sellers than buyers, price will go down. That's the only reason price can actually move. So at the moment, we don't know which side has the greater amount of buyers or sellers. Normally we would want those things to line up. So we'd have an upwards climate with buy orders. But here we have a downwards climate and buy orders. So again, I would say with the dollar, kind of indecision there. I wouldn't want to get involved in that fight. I want to see who wins and then jump on that. Now, in terms of volatility with the dollar, we would expect that in 1 year, it would go up or down of 5.11%, which is 0.3 points up or down in a day, 0.65 points up or down in a week, and 1.36 points up or down in a month. So that's the US dollar. Now the last market is backed Bitcoin. Now it says here about self-scheduling a clarification call. So if you have questions about anything, about the apps or courses or anything, by all means self-schedule a clarification call with one of our experts. Have a chat, see what's going to work best for you. So backed Bitcoin, we have a confirmed downwards climate. That's a thick red dot there, probability to the downside. Now, we don't know with Bitcoin how long it usually goes down or up for because it's not old enough yet. We don't have enough data to say what usually happens. So what we can say is we're on candle number 3 to the downside, but we don't know if that's normal or not. So kind of in the dark there, but we do have probability down still with Bitcoin. We have buy orders down here at 41,460 to 37,437.5. And we have sell orders above us here at 57,975 to 54,500. So at the moment, slightly closer to the buy orders, but we've got probability to the downside and a bit of room before we get there. So would expect movement downwards. Now, on Bitcoin, we have an expected movement up or down in a year of 90.07%, which means in a day, up or down of 2,617.22 points. In a week would be up or down of 5,761.54 points, and in a month 11,993.6 points. So that's Bitcoin. Okay, so we've looked at each of our 5 markets. We've looked at climate, which is where do we have probabilities up or down using the free Auto Climate app that helps us figure that out. We've then looked at buy and sell UFOs. Where do we have buyers and sellers that could push price up or down respectively. And we've looked at volatility. What do we reckon in terms of speed of movement? Now, all of these things are based on statistics and probability, but of course, that doesn't mean that it's definite or guaranteed. We are still going to manage our risk just in case we're wrong. We still might have extra layers of probability that we put on top of this. Different people will think about it in different ways. For us, we don't want to be trading if we at least don't have some form of probability. So hopefully that was helpful. Now, just to round off here, we also might want to know about upcoming news that could impact the markets. So we go to fxstreet.com/economic calendar and we filter by high impact news, meaning we want to know what news is coming out that could create volatility in the markets. Not necessarily trying to interpret what the news will do, just is it going to create some movement. So today we already had news that came out on the euro earlier on in the morning, and we have news coming out in a little while or just come out on the Canadian markets, Canadian dollar. So if you trade those markets, maybe be aware of that. Otherwise, we'll obviously wait till next week and see what we've got coming up. Any questions, you can get hold of me at becky@tradictive.com, or you can go to tradewithufos.com/Becky at the top there, and then you can get yourself a free Trade with UFOs membership if you don't have one already, and then post a question here. That way we can all learn from the same place. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. Hope you guys have a great end to your trading week. I have a stock session later on today, so join me for that if you're interested in learning about trading stocks. If you have any other questions, get hold of me.